I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. So some bad boys are just God-fearing men. And I have a couple notes here, and I have a couple Bible verses that I want to go through because I do not want to miss a beat in this video. And I want to make sure that everybody gets the information that they need, because there's a lot of misconceptions and misinterpretations on what exactly a bad boy is and why being a bad boy is something that means that you have to be participating in promiscuity, or you have to be participating in adultery or adultery or fornication or anything like that. You don't need to be committing sin in order to be interpreted as a bad boy in modern society, because at this point, to be righteous is almost like the cultural opposition at this point. So being righteous is kind of like being a bad boy in some sense. But what are some of the traits of a bad boy, right? So confidence. He's relaxed and makes others around him relaxed. He knows what he wants. He is very, very comfortable with eye contact and has open body frame, open body language. He has his chest out, his shoulders back. He stands tall. He's got a sense of humor. He understands that women have certain kinds of emotions that need to be caused by him, while simultaneously he needs to know that the only thing that he's going to need to follow is Christ. He doesn't follow women. He doesn't put women on pedestals. He appreciates women. He loves women for what they are and who they are, but he doesn't fall in love with them. He rises in love with them. So he also understands that the only blessing he really needs to do anything, because this is a man that is unapologetic about who he is, he only needs God's blessing to do something. He doesn't need anybody else's blessing. And so now that we have some of the traits that are mapped out, let's go into the Bible verses here. So the first one is from Proverbs 10:27, and it says, "The fear of the Lord prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened." So it's interesting that it says the days of the ones that fear God are going to be prolonged, whereas the years of the wicked are going to be shortened. That's a very important distinction to make, number one, because we really do live day by day in all history. We've always lived day to day. We just sometimes have the perception that there's tomorrow. And I say tomorrow with air quotes because tomorrow doesn't really exist, right? Tomorrow doesn't really have any kind of set in stone foundational understanding. Like, tomorrow is a concept. We are just in the moment now is all that matters, right? So what this is saying is that the plans of the wicked are going to be cut short, but the liveliness of someone that fears God is going to increase by the day. That's the way that I see this verse, and at least is one interpretation. Now, the second verse that I want to go through is 1 Timothy 3, 2 through 6. And it says, "A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given unto wine, nor striker, nor greedy or filthy liquor, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well over his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into condemnation of a devil. So I looked up the root word of bishop because I thought that was important. And it turns out the root word of bishop is actually overseer. And I thought that was interesting because an overseer, well, what is an overseer? An overseer is someone that looks after something, right? It's kind of like, it reminds me of Bob Dylan's Watchtower song. What was it? Is that what it's called? All Along the Watchtower. Yeah, that's what it is. And specifically, I have Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower song because I think that one's more elevated in style, I suppose. But I do like both versions very much. And at one point, it says that the princes overlook the city from the tower or something along those lines. Somebody can put the lyrics in there, but what that's saying is that the princes kept the view. That's what the lyrics were. And that's exactly what a good bishop could do. And bishop, you can see as somebody that takes care of the church. So it takes care of the people, right? And then a husband of one wife. I think that's a very important message as well, because that's something that is also about the bad boy archetype, is that he's always got, a bunch of women around. And I can say that from personal experience, a lot of women think that they know that up until I tell them that I follow Christ, they think that I'm like a player or something. And it's because I just don't talk much or give attention to a lot of women, just because I don't have female friends. I have people that I build with, and I have people that I'm not building with. And the people that I'm not building with, I just kind of ignore them. I don't really feel anything toward them. And I don't hate anybody in this world. I can be pretty relaxed with anybody. I can have a conversation with anybody. Just as simple as that. I can get along with anyone I need to if I have to, but it's not necessarily my first choice. I don't necessarily seek out to be friends with everybody, because I know that a friend to all is a friend to no one. And I suppose another important trait that I just thought about of the quote-unquote bad boys, independence. And a God-fearing man is going to be independent. Absolutely. 100%. He's not going to be cowering with other people, or he's not going to be participating in actions that take him to Pleasure Island, like in Pinocchio, right? Why did Pinocchio get sent to Pleasure Island? Well, because he wasn't becoming the person he was supposed to be. And so then what happened to them? Well, they all became jackasses. They all became donkeys. And so being a bad boy doesn't mean that you just go to Pleasure Island. It also means that even though you have the opportunity to do those things, you're capable of it, and you know that you're capable of it, but you don't do it simply because you're capable. That's a big distinction. Then it says vigilant and sober and of good behavior. So charismatic, conscientious, has manners. I always say sir or ma'am when I'm out and about. One thing I will always teach my kids is there are 3 expressions that you always need to know. Please, thank you, and excuse me. You don't need to be sorry. Like, sorry. So many people out here are like, oh, sorry. They're always apologizing as if they're doing something wrong. And it's like, you're not doing something wrong. It's just, you don't need to say sorry all the time. And any guy that says sorry too much, I automatically do not trust him. And the reason being is because if he's always apologizing, he doesn't really have self-esteem. And I don't say this to degrade the men that maybe do that. I say this because I understand what it's like to be in that low self-esteem place, and having low self-esteem makes you think that you're constantly doing things wrong, and it causes you to be a people pleaser. A God-fearing man that is mature, that actually can be coming across as that bad boy, he's the danger, he's not in danger. He's the storm, he's not preparing for the storm. He doesn't need to really think about trying to not hurt people's feelings, because he's going to act in accordance to the situation. He's grounded, he's ready for anything, but he's also not going to seek out anything. Okay, good behavior, given to hospitality and apt to teach. So does he have wisdom, right? It is also said in Proverbs, I don't have this one memorized on exactly where it is in Proverbs, but in Proverbs it also says that something along the lines of, he who fears God will be given understanding, or something along those lines. And so if a God-fearing place in your heart, then chances are you're going to be receiving spiritual downloads or wisdom to a greater degree as well. He's not given to wine. So basically what this can mean is that he's not really addicted to anything. He doesn't give himself to substances. He's not a striker and not a greedy or filthy lucre. So, or lucre, I don't know how to pronounce that actually. It's Lucre, but the point is that he's not actively trying to attack, but he's capable of assertively defending himself. He's patient and not a brawler, and not covetous. So that means he doesn't want what other people have. He's not jealous of that. He doesn't seek to take things that are not his necessarily. But a man that is capable of dominating the world and conquering the world, that's the difference. That's the real difference right there. One that ruleth his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. So he's got his family in order. And really, I suppose that's pretty much it. So the bad boy doesn't necessarily need to be this vision of a player that most people have. And I found that the reason that women think that I can be a player sometimes, up until I say, yeah, I follow Jesus, and like I actually am looking for something more long term. And again, I say that not necessarily just to like say that. I say that as a litmus test because I want to gauge where she's at as well. So, and if she's going to be even compatible with my program, with what I've got going on. And that's another thing, is a bad boy, a trait of a bad boy is he has his self at his own mental point of origin. So everything that he does makes it about himself. So this is the alpha, you could say. The alpha, beta, they're a lot of the times overused terms, but they're the most practical terms that we have, and it's always going to be the case. You either have an alpha mindset or a beta mindset, and just because you follow Christ or you are a godly man doesn't mean that you have to be a beta like so many of these Christians out here. I cannot tell you how many Christians I've seen that think that they're supposed to be gentle enough with their wife or their family to the point in which they don't have a backbone. It's like, no. And the men that do have that backbone, what I found is they're not necessarily strict, they're not necessarily rigid, but they let the people in their life know what's going on and what's what. And whenever there is a problem, they immediately confront it. They don't wait around. They don't let the dragon underneath the couch begin to grow, and then we feed the dragon underneath the couch, and then the dragon grows too big, and then burns the house down. That's not what godly men do. They address the problem as soon as it happens, as soon as it comes up. So I hope all this information was useful and insightful. And with all that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.